The question the people watching this TV show are asking right now is, D. Wood just said this is a tough draw for Josh Allen, this is supposed to be his year. I think he's going to win MVP. He's got this game coming into his building. He's facing a rookie quarterback. Are you telling me this is a tough game for the Bills?
I absolutely think it's a tough draw. And the 9 points, I'm shocked by it, all right? Now, the one thing that I don't think people realize is Josh Allen has the greatest TD to interception ratio in playoff history. That's right. The guy that you guys think I'm always on or whatever, that's right.
Is that good?
All right, he's had 21 touchdowns against 4 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's why the spread is what it is. I'm not buying it. I would take Denver. I think the game's going to be a hell of a lot closer than that.
He would.
Greeny, listen, defensively, they're going to cause Buffalo problems. They can cover, they can rush. The quarterback is athletic. His quarterback is athletic and accurate, and they got a head coach.
I feel like I need to say one thing. Can I just say one thing? They played no one yesterday, all right? Denver played literally no one. Kansas City just would have forfeited that game had they been allowed to. The previous 2 weeks, they gave up 68 points, I think, to Cincinnati and the Chargers. The Chargers are not exactly the greatest show on turf.
Okay, but that Chargers game, Riley Moss doesn't play. When Riley Moss doesn't play, they play a lot less man. They're not as good in zone as they are man. Anybody that plays against the Bengals is going to get points scored on them more often than not. So I get your point. I'm just telling you, like, not only is Surtain defensive player of the candidate, but Tino's a defensive player of the year candidate as well.
The other side.
Okay. Whoo! A lot of people doubting, having concerns about the Buffalo Bills going on against the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. Listen, I think the Denver Broncos are a really good team, man. I'm wildly impressed with them. I think it's a bummer that their seeding sets them up where they have to play the number 1 and number 2 seed for their playoff trajectory. I think it's, a bummer because I'd like to be able to see them kind of continue to play and get some other interesting matchups. But the reality is this. I mean, it's either the Buffalo Bills year or not. They either shut down a rookie quarterback and score more points than a rookie quarterback can against a top defense, or they can't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Buffalo Bills are either a true top contender or not. If they're not a top contender, then sure, they can lose and will lose against the Denver Broncos. But if they are an actual top contender, like the way how I felt this was kind of being crafted is kind of like, hey, the Bills can be a top contender, but this is just a really bad matchup for the Buffalo Bills. And therefore, like Rex Ryan straight up is saying the Bills are going to lose. He's saying straight up that the Broncos are going to beat the Buffalo Bills. And it's like, hey man, that's a take for sure. I'm pumped for this game. I really, really am. The reality is the NFL doesn't think it's super that competitive because they have it at the Sunday 1:00 game, so they kind of think that this is kind of a throwaway game for the Buffalo Bills. I think the real big question mark for this game, which is actually nothing to do with the Buffalo Bills, is Bo Nix being a rookie and playing his first playoff game. That's a big thing to do. That's a big spot. And you're going up against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. That's intimidating. I don't care how great of a quarterback you are, who your head coach is, how many weapons you have on offense. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot. And I do think Bo Nix has been great this season. I think he's been awesome as a rookie quarterback. And I'm not using the game against the Chiefs as a reference point. He did play really well. It was obviously against backups, but I still think he played great in that game. Nothing to do with the backups itself, just the high level of throws and the plays that he was making, I thought were really impressive. But again, this game is all about the Bills. They're either a top team or they're not. It gets very binary. It gets reduced down to that. They're either the best team and a true Super Bowl contender and the best team in the AFC, or they're not. And if you are, then you beat the Broncos. You take advantage of it. You have a game plan to get after a rookie quarterback. Because if you can't stop a rookie quarterback, how are you stopping Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens? How are you stopping Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. So, it's interesting. Obviously, Ryan, we know the history and all of that, all of that stuff. But yeah, I wish we could see what it would have been like if the Broncos had, were playing the Chiefs round 1. That would have been fascinating because I would love to see if people would still say the same thing, if they would still have just as much concern and so much confidence in the Broncos and Bo, or if this is more about the Bills and the lack of trust and the lack of confidence in the Buffalo Bills. I can't decide quite yet if this is more of a lack of confidence in the Bills or more of a belief in the Denver Broncos. But I mean, hey man, we got some juicy matchups. If you're the Buffalo Bills, I mean, really the best matchup is to go up against the Steelers or the Texans. Those are definitely the two teams that like everybody would want to face, especially the Texans, probably more than anything. But considering how the Steelers have been playing as well, I mean, it really kind of feels like a 3-way tie right now between the Green Bay Packers, the Steelers, and the Texans for the teams that all the playoff teams like want to play. They're like, sign me up, like let's get after it. Whereas it feels like a lot of the other teams, anything can happen. And I do think the Denver Broncos fall in that category where it's like, hey, this game may not be as easy as you think. I could see this being a surprisingly competitive game, or the Bills absolutely just, dominate the Broncos. They just sun them. They're like, yeah, that was great. You had a great season. That's awesome. You almost beat the Chiefs when they were full strength. That's great. We don't care. Like we got the MVP. We got Josh Allen. We are a beast. We are dominant. You have a great defense. Great. Again, allow me to point to Josh Allen. Here you go. Exhibit A, Josh. So, again, or it ends up being close. And so that's why. That's how I'm viewing it right now. Either the Bills roll the Broncos, or it is a close, tight game where you're like, oh, man, like, what's about to happen? Who's going to blink first? That's the way how I'm seeing it more than anything right now. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills? Do you think the Broncos are a legitimate threat to them? And do you agree with Rex Ryan that the Bills are going to lose to the Broncos? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.